Hands where I can see them. Step out of the Mercedes. Now. Officer Brad Coleman stands beside a gleaming black Mercedes in the Riverside Mall parking lot. His hand rests on his holster. His voice carries across the asphalt. Marcus Washington looks up from his phone. "Officer, is there a problem?" I set out. Don't make me ask twice. Marcus opens the door slowly, hands visible, movements deliberate, a lifetime of practice. "This your car?" Brad asks. "Yes, sir. It's registered in my name. I can show you." "Sure it is." Brad's smirk cuts him off. "A Mercedes S-Class. 85,000. You expect me to believe that?" "I can provide documentation. Save it." Brad steps closer. "I've seen this before. Stolen vehicle. Fake papers. Your type always has a story. Your type." The words hang in the afternoon air. A woman pushing a shopping cart slows to watch. A teenager pulls out his phone. 3 men in business suits pause their conversation. Everyone watches. No one intervenes. Turn around. Hands behind your back. "Officer, I haven't committed any..." Brad grabs Marcus's shoulder and spins him. The movement is sharp, practiced, unnecessary. Marcus's chest slams against the warm hood of his own Mercedes. "Resisting arrest," Brad announces to the growing crowd. "You all see that?" The cuffs click shut, too tight. The metal bites into Marcus's wrists. A woman nods approvingly. The teenager laughs while filming. The businessmen exchange knowing glances. Brad smiles. Easy arrest. Clean collar. Another win for the stats board. He has no idea, because the black man he just accused of stealing his own car is Marcus Washington, Associate Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. And in 52 minutes, every single person standing in this parking lot will be begging for forgiveness. They just don't know it yet. But this story doesn't start here. It starts 10 minutes earlier, inside a courtroom that exists only in the future. Brad Coleman sits at the defendant's table. His hands tremble. The badge is gone. The gun is gone. The smirk is gone. A federal judge looks down at him. The same man he shoved onto a hood. The same man he called a thief. That moment is coming. 52 minutes away. But before we see how this ends, I need to know where you stand. If you believe that racial profiling by law enforcement needs to end, comment your country and city below. Let's see where people around the world stand on this issue. Your voice matters. Your location shows that justice is a global demand. Now, back to that parking lot. Back to Marcus Washington lying face down on the hood of his own car. The metal is cold against his cheek. His wrists burn from the cuffs. But his mind remains clear, focused, counting. Violation 1. No probable cause stated. Violation 2. No opportunity to present identification. Violation 3. Excessive force without provocation. He reaches 14 before Brad finishes the pat-down. By the end of this day, there will be 22 documented violations. But right now, in this moment, Marcus does what he's trained himself to do in situations like this. He stays calm. He stays silent. He stays alive. Inside the grocery store, Angela Washington checks her phone. A notification appears. Share location with Marcus. She frowns. Her husband never sends this. Not unless something is wrong. Angela isn't just Marcus's wife. She's an investigative journalist for the Washington Chronicle. 26 years in the field. She's exposed 3 corrupt senators. She's broken 5 major political scandals. She's testified before Congress twice. And right now, every instinct she's developed over 2.5 decades is screaming. She abandons her cart and walks toward the exit. Her pace is controlled, measured. The pace of someone who has learned that panic clouds judgment and judgment saves lives. Through the glass doors, she sees the parking lot. She sees the crowd. She sees the police cruiser. She sees her husband in handcuffs. Her hand moves to her phone. She doesn't run. She doesn't scream. She opens her camera app and starts recording. Because Angela Washington knows something Brad Coleman doesn't. Documentation defeats denial. Evidence outlasts emotion. The truth requires proof. Her editor picks up on the first ring. Michael, it's Angela. I need the front page held. Angela, we go to print in 4 hours. Hold it. I've got something bigger. Silence on the line. Then, how big? Career ending for some. Life-changing for others. I'll have the story to you in 3 hours. She hangs up and keeps recording. In 52 minutes, this footage will be seen by 2 million people. The Washington Chronicle's website will crash twice from traffic, and Angela Washington's byline will win her 4th Pulitzer Prize. But Marcus Washington has no idea that the cop handcuffing him just made the worst mistake of his career. The countdown has begun. Rewind. 20 minutes before the handcuffs. 20 minutes before the hood. 20 minutes before Brad Coleman destroyed his own future. Marcus Washington pulls into the Riverside Mall parking lot. Saturday afternoon. Clear blue sky. The kind of day that feels peaceful, ordinary, safe. He finds a spot near the grocery store entrance and texts Angela. Got the good spot, take your time. She replies with a heart emoji. She's been looking forward to this. A normal weekend. Groceries, maybe a movie later. No cases to review. No briefs to write. No courtroom drama. Marcus smiles and opens a document on his phone. The ruling. The one that's consumed his last 8 months. The one that will reshape police accountability across Ohio. The one that's due in 72 hours. Section 47 stares back at him. When officers abuse authority through discriminatory enforcement, qualified immunity cannot shield them from consequences. The law must protect citizens, not power. He wrote those words 6 weeks ago, sitting in his chambers, reviewing case files and statistics and legal precedents. He had no idea he would soon become his own case study. A patrol car enters the lot. Officer Brad Coleman scans the vehicles out of habit. 11 years on the force, 3-time Officer of Excellence, the department's golden boy, the face on recruitment billboards across the city. His eyes land on the Mercedes, S-Class, black, pristine, chrome trim, tinted windows, $85,000 minimum. Then he sees the driver, black male, 50s, sitting alone, looking at his phone. Brad's jaw tightens. Something doesn't fit. He's seen this pattern before. Expensive cars in middle-class neighborhoods, drivers who don't match the vehicle. It always means something. Stolen property, drug money, gang activity disguised as suburban normalcy. He runs the plates. The system responds immediately. The Mercedes is registered to Marcus J. Washington. Address in Laurel Heights. No warrants, no flags. Clean record. Brad frowns. He runs them again. Same result. Clean. But Brad has learned to trust his instincts over computers. Systems can be fooled. Registrations can be faked. He's seen it dozens of times. He pulls up behind the Mercedes and steps out. Marcus notices the patrol car in his mirror. He lowers his phone. A lifetime of conditioning kicks in. He knows how these moments can spiral. He knows the choreography of survival. Good afternoon, officer. Is there a problem? Brad doesn't answer. License and registration. Of course. Marcus's movements are slow, announced, deliberate. I'm reaching into my glove compartment. My registration is inside. Stop. Brad's hand moves to his holster. Step out of the vehicle first. Marcus pauses. May I ask why? I said step out. Officer, I'm happy to cooperate, but I'd like to understand the reason for the stop. Brad's voice hardens. Now. Marcus opens the door slowly. He keeps his hands visible at all times. He stands beside his Mercedes. His Mercedes. The car he bought 7 years ago with money he earned through decades of legal work. My wallet is in my back pocket. May I reach for it? Hands on the vehicle, don't move. Marcus complies. His palms press against the warm metal. The sun beats down. The parking lot is filling with Saturday shoppers. A woman notices the scene. She pulls out her phone and starts recording. She's maybe 19. Hoop earrings, bright nail polish. She's not concerned. She's entertained. Yo, this is about to be crazy, she says to no one in particular. More people gather. A couple pauses with their groceries. A man in a gray suit stops to watch. An elderly woman slows her walker. No one asks if Marcus is okay. No one questions why the officer stopped him. Everyone assumes the black man must have done something wrong. Brad notices the phones. He doesn't mind. He's been recorded before. It always ends the same way. The footage proves he followed procedure. He squares his shoulders, straightens his posture. Let them film. "Sir, this vehicle was reported stolen." Marcus's voice remains absolutely calm. "That's not possible. This is my car. I've owned it for 7 years. That's what they all say. If you check the registration..." "I don't need paperwork." Brad's voice rises. "I need you to explain why you're sitting in an $85,000 Mercedes in a neighborhood like this." A neighborhood like this. The crowd hears it. Some nod, some smirk. The woman with the walker mutters something to herself and hurries past. She doesn't want involvement. She's seen this before. It's not her business. The teenager filming zooms in. The comments on her live stream start rolling. He's definitely guilty. Cop is just doing his job. Why can't he just show his ID? Innocent people don't act nervous. Marcus isn't nervous, he's calculating. Counting violations, measuring responses, building a mental record of everything that's happening. "Officer, my name is Marcus Washington. I live in Laurel Heights. I'm waiting for my wife. She's inside the store. If you'd like to verify any of this..." "Laurel Heights?" Brad laughs. "That's a rich neighborhood. Very nice houses. How does someone like you afford Laurel Heights?" "Someone like you." The second racial marker. Marcus notes it. Violation 8. The crowd grows larger. 15 people now, 20. Some filming, some whispering, some nodding along with Brad's suspicions. Not one person speaks up. Not one person asks why a man sitting peacefully in a parking lot requires this level of scrutiny. "Turn around. Hands behind your back." "Officer, I haven't done anything wrong." "Resisting arrest. That's what you're doing now." Brad grabs Marcus's arm. The grip is tight, aggressive, designed to intimidate. He spins Marcus around and slams him against the hood. The impact echoes. Marcus's breath catches. The metal is hot from the sun. It burns through his shirt. The cuffs come out. Click, click, too tight. The metal cuts into his wrists. Violation 15. The crowd watches. The phones record. The teenager laughs. And Brad Coleman radios dispatch. 10:15 in progress. Riverside Mall. Black male. 50s. Possible stolen vehicle. Requesting backup. Possible. Not confirmed. Not verified. Possible. But in Brad's mind, possible is always enough. Angela Washington emerges from the grocery store. Her cart is abandoned somewhere near the dairy section. Her phone is recording. Her journalist instincts have taken over completely. She sees the cruiser pulling away. She sees her husband through the rear window. Head down, hands behind his back. The image sears into her memory. She doesn't run, doesn't scream, doesn't draw attention. She raises her phone higher and captures the cruiser's plate number. Then the officer's badge number as he walks past. Then the faces of the crowd still standing around, some still filming, some already dispersing. Evidence. Always evidence first. She opens her contacts. 3 calls to make. First, Michael Chen, her editor at the Washington Chronicle. "Michael, front page, now. I'm sending you preliminary footage in 2 minutes." "Angela, what's..." "My husband was just arrested for sitting in our car. I have it on video. The officer's statements are explicitly racial. This is page 1, Michael. Kill whatever you had planned." Silence. Then, "Send me everything you have. I'll clear the space." Second call. Rebecca Lawson, her attorney. 23 years of friendship. The best civil rights lawyer in Ohio. "Rebecca, Marcus was arrested. Riverside Mall. Racial profiling. I have footage." Rebecca doesn't hesitate. "I'm 10 minutes away. Don't let them question him without me present. I'm calling the station now." Already done. Third call. This one is different. The contact name reads simply, Harper. FBI Special Agent James Harper answers on the first ring. His voice is clipped, professional. "Angela, been a while. I need a favor, James, A big one. I'm listening. How would you like to finally close your case against the Riverside PD? Silence. Angela can almost hear him sitting up straighter. James Harper has been building a federal civil rights case against the Riverside Police Department for 9 months. 11 incidents, 11 victims, 11 complaints buried by department brass. He's been looking for the case that can't be buried, the victim they can't ignore, the evidence they can't destroy. Talk to me, he says. They just arrested my husband, Marcus Washington, Associate Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, for sitting in his own car. Another pause, longer this time. The Marcus Washington, the one writing the police accountability ruling? That's the one. And I have video of the entire arrest, racial statements, excessive force, false charges, all of it. Send me everything, I'm making calls. This goes federal within the hour. Angela hangs up and immediately starts uploading files. The video goes to 3 places simultaneously: Michael Chen's secure server, Rebecca Lawson's case file system, and James Harper's encrypted FBI email. 3 copies, 3 separate locations, 3 insurance policies. She's learned from 26 years of investigative work. 1 copy can be lost, 2 can be coincidence, 3 can't be explained away. Her phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Washington, this is Officer Jessica Turner. I was back up at your husband's arrest. I need to talk to you. Not on record, not officially. Please. Angela stares at the message. A cop reaching out? After an arrest? That's unusual. That's suspicious. That's also potentially valuable. She types back, Riverside Coffee Shop, 30 minutes. Come alone. The response is immediate. Thank you. Angela Washington walks to her car, the same car she and Marcus drove here together less than an hour ago. She sits in the driver's seat. The grocery trip is forgotten. The normal Saturday is gone. She opens her laptop and starts writing. The headline forms in her mind first. The way it always does. Justice arrested. Supreme Court judge detained for driving while black in Riverside Mall parking lot. Her fingers move across the keyboard. 26 years of experience pour out. She knows how to structure a story for maximum impact. She knows where to place the most damaging quotes. She knows how to build a narrative that forces readers to confront uncomfortable truths. Paragraph by paragraph, the article takes shape. Meanwhile, at FBI headquarters downtown, James Harper sits in his office. The call he's been waiting 9 months to make. He dials his supervisor, Assistant Director Catherine Morrison. Morrison. It's Harper. I need authorization to activate Operation Clean Badge. The Riverside PD case? Harper, we've been over this. 11 complaints aren't enough for a federal intervention. We need... I have number 12, Marcus Washington, Ohio Supreme Court Justice, arrested 45 minutes ago for sitting in his own Mercedes, racial profiling, excessive force. The arresting officer is Brad Coleman. Silence. Brad Coleman? Morrison's voice changes. The one with 8 prior complaints? 9 now, and this time the victim writes state law. This time we have video. This time the whole country is going to watch. How solid is your evidence? Angela Washington is the wife. She's a Chronicle investigative journalist. She documented everything. I'm receiving files now. Harper hears keyboard clicks on Morrison's end. Authorization granted. Activate Clean Badge. Full federal investigation. I want daily reports. This goes all the way to the top, Harper. No mistakes. Understood. Harper hangs up and opens his case files. 11 victims. 11 families who were told their pain didn't matter. 11 people who filed complaints that disappeared into bureaucratic darkness. Victim 1, Darius Miller, age 23, stopped for suspicious behavior while jogging in his own neighborhood. Victim 2, Shanice Thompson, age 31, pulled over for erratic driving while going exactly the speed limit. Victim 3, Andre Williams, age 47, detained for trespassing while entering his own office building. The list continues. Each name represents a life disrupted. Each case represents justice denied. Until now. Harper pulls out his phone and starts making calls. By the time he's done, 6 federal agents will be assigned to this case. By Monday morning, subpoenas will be drafted. By Tuesday, the investigation will be front-page news. But right now, Angela Washington sits in her car typing. Her article grows longer. The evidence grows stronger. The story becomes undeniable. And Angela Washington isn't just any wife. She's an investigative journalist who's taken down 3 senators. Brad Coleman has no idea what's coming. The Riverside Police Station sits on the corner of Madison and 8th. Red brick, American flag, a building designed to project authority, justice, safety. Brad pulls the cruiser into the back lot and escorts Marcus through the rear entrance. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The hallways smell like industrial cleaner and burnt coffee. At the front desk, Sergeant Tommy Garcia looks up from his computer. 28 years on the job. He's seen everything, surprised by nothing. What do we have? Stolen vehicle, Brad says confidently. Guy claims it's his. Name's Marcus Washington. Garcia types it into the system. His fingers pause. He frowns, types again. The computer freezes. A loading wheel spins. Then an error message appears. Access restricted, contact supervisor. That's weird, Garcia mutters. What? System's flagging the name, hold on. Garcia picks up the phone and dials an internal extension. Chief, you might want to come down here. We have a situation. Brad doesn't notice the concern in Garcia's voice. He's busy filling out paperwork. Another routine arrest. Another number for his monthly stats. Another story for the locker room. He's already thinking about where to grab lunch. Maybe that burger place on 5th. Maybe call his girlfriend and tell her about the arrest. She always likes hearing about his work. 3 floors up, Police Chief Robert Hayes answers the phone. His face changes as he listens. Color drains from his cheeks. His hand tightens on the receiver. He hangs up without a word and stares at his desk. Robert Hayes has been protecting Brad Coleman for 5 years. Not because he likes Brad. Not because Brad is particularly competent, but because Brad is connected. Brad's uncle is city council president. Brad's father-in-law is a major campaign donor. Brad represents political capital. Hayes has buried 9 complaints against Brad. He's blocked 4 internal investigations. He's transferred 2 officers who tried to report Brad's conduct. But the name Marcus Washington changes everything. Hayes knows that name. Every law enforcement officer in Ohio knows that name. He picks up the phone again. This time he calls someone outside the department. It's Hayes. We have a problem. A big one. Meanwhile, in the station's processing area, Brad leads Marcus to a holding cell. The space is small, gray, designed to intimidate. A metal bench, a toilet, concrete walls. Make yourself comfortable, Brad says with a smirk. You're going to be here a while. Marcus sits on the bench. His wrists still ache from the cuffs. His shoulders burn from being forced against the car. But his mind remains focused, analytical, cataloging every detail. I'd like to make a phone call, Marcus says calmly. Sure, after processing. I'd like to know the specific charges against me. Brad leans against the cell door. Grand theft auto, possession of stolen property, resisting arrest. That enough for you? None of those charges are valid. The vehicle is registered in my name. I didn't resist. I complied with every instruction. That's not how I saw it. Then perhaps we should review your body camera footage. Brad's smirk falters for just a second, then returns. Equipment malfunction. Happens sometimes. Twice during one detention? Both times at crucial moments? Marcus's voice remains level. That's going to be difficult to explain. Explain to who? You think anyone cares about your story? Marcus doesn't answer. He simply holds Brad's gaze. Steady. Unwavering. The gaze of someone who has sat in judgment of hundreds of cases. The gaze of someone who knows exactly how this ends. Brad shifts uncomfortably. There's something about this guy that's different. Most arrestees are angry, scared, desperate. This one is calm, too calm, like he knows something Brad doesn't. Who are you? Brad asks suddenly. I've told you my name. Marcus Washington. Yeah. But what do? You a lawyer or something? Marcus considers the question. He could end this right now. 3 words. I'm a judge. The cell would open. Apologies would flow. Brad would scramble to fix his mistake. But Marcus stays silent, because the man stopped tomorrow might not be a judge. The woman arrested next week might not have connections. The teenager profiled next month might not have a lawyer. His silence is evidence. Evidence of what happens when no one important is watching. I'd like that phone call now, Marcus says instead. Brad shrugs. Processing first. Rules are rules. He walks away, leaving Marcus in the cell. The door clangs shut. The lock engages. Marcus sits alone. The fluorescent light flickers. The walls are covered in scratches, messages from previous occupants. Innocent. Free James. They lied. He pulls out his phone. No service in the basement. But the voice recorder app doesn't need service. He's been recording since the moment Brad opened his car door. Every word, every violation, every moment. 42 minutes of audio documentation, everything admissible in court. Meanwhile, upstairs, Chief Hayes bursts into the processing area. Where's the Washington arrest? Garcia points to the stairs. Coleman took him to holding cell 3. Hayes's face reddens. Get him out. Now. Chief, I said get him out. And find Coleman. I want him in my office immediately. Garcia has never seen Hayes this panicked. Not in 28 years. Something is very, very wrong. He grabs the cell keys and hurries downstairs. Brad Coleman is walking back from the vending machines, candy bar in hand, when his radio crackles. Officer Coleman, report to Chief Hayes' office. Immediately. Brad frowns. Immediately? For a routine arrest? That's unusual. He tosses the candy bar in the trash and heads upstairs, still completely unaware that his career has approximately 18 minutes left. What Brad doesn't know is that FBI agent Harper has been watching him for 9 months. The countdown continues. Before Brad reaches Chief Hayes' office, something happens. Something that will be studied in police academies for years to come. Something that will be cited in 14 federal court cases. Sergeant Garcia opens the holding cell door. Mr. Washington, please come with me. Marcus stands. Am I being released? You're being moved to an interview room, more comfortable. Am I being charged? Garcia doesn't answer. He just leads Marcus down the hallway. They pass other holding cells. Other arrestees watch through the bars. One nods at Marcus, a gesture of solidarity. Fellow victim of the system. The interview room is small. Metal table, 3 chairs, a camera in the corner with a blinking red light. Someone will be with you shortly, Garcia says. He leaves, closing the door behind him but not locking it. Marcus sits. He notices the camera is recording. Good. More evidence. The door opens. Brad Coleman enters. Alone. No supervisor. No partner. No attorney present. This is violation number 18. Brad drops a folder on the table. Empty. Just a prop. He sits across from Marcus. Let's make this easy, Brad says. Where'd you get the car? Marcus's voice is absolutely steady. I'd like to know the formal charges against me. Charges? Brad laughs. How about grand theft auto? How about possession of stolen property? How about resisting arrest? I didn't resist anything. You were uncooperative, same thing. I'd like to speak with an attorney. Attorney? Brad leans back in his chair. You watch too much TV. This is just a conversation. 2 guys talking. Then I'm free to leave? Sit down. Am I being detained? Brad's smile fades. What do you think? I think you're required to inform me of my legal status. That's not opinion. That's Richardson v. Ohio, 2019. Silence. Brad blinks. You a lawyer or something? Marcus doesn't answer. The silence stretches. Brad shifts in his seat. Most people break in this room. They sweat. They stammer. They confess to things they didn't do just to make the pressure stop. This guy is different. This guy is unsettling. Let me explain something, Brad says, leaning forward. I've been doing this for 11 years. I've got commendations, awards, I'm Officer of Excellence 3 times. You know what that means? It means you've learned how to perform. Brad's face reddens. Excuse me? Commendations measure compliance, not competence. Awards measure politics, not justice. Being Officer of Excellence means the system approves of you. It doesn't mean you're good at your job. The room temperature drops. Brad stands. His chair scrapes backward. Who the hell do you think you are? Marcus remains seated, calm. Someone who knows the law better than you do. You don't know anything. I know you ran my plates twice. I know they came back clean both times. I know you arrested me without probable cause, without allowing me to present identification, and without informing me of specific charges. I know you used excessive force during a compliant stop. I know you deactivated your body camera twice during this detention. Brad freezes. That's 18 violations so far. We're up to 19 now, since you entered this room alone without a supervising officer present. Shall I continue? Brad says nothing. His mouth opens. Nothing comes out. I've been counting since the moment you opened my door, Marcus continues. His voice never wavers. Every word, every action, every violation. You're bluffing. Richardson versus Ohio. Barnes versus Columbus. Thornton versus State. Marcus pauses. Do you know what those cases have in common? Brad's face is pale now. What? I wrote them. The words land like a physical blow. Brad steps backward. You what? I wrote the opinions. Barnes was 2018. Thornton was 2021. Richardson was 2019. Marcus stands slowly. My name is Marcus Washington, Associate Justice, Ohio Supreme Court. The color drains completely from Brad's face. His hand grabs the edge of the table for support. And in 72 hours, Marcus continues, I'll be publishing a ruling on police accountability, a ruling that addresses exactly this kind of misconduct. Marcus straightens his shirt. I was going to write it based on case files and statistics. Now I have first-hand experience. Thank you for that. Brad stumbles toward the door. His legs barely work. You might want to call your union representative, Marcus says calmly. You're going to need one. Brad bursts out of the room. The door slams behind him. He leans against the hallway wall. His hands shake. His breathing is rapid, shallow. Garcia appears at the end of the hallway. Coleman, Chief wants you. Now! Brad can barely walk. His mind is racing. Supreme Court Justice. Ohio Supreme Court Justice. The guy who writes the laws. The guy who decides cases. The guy who... Oh God. The ruling. The police accountability ruling. The one everyone's been talking about. The one that's supposed to change everything. Brad just gave that judge a perfect case study in exactly what the ruling is designed to stop. He reaches Chief Hayes' office. The door is open. Hayes sits behind his desk. His face is gray. Sit down, Brad. Brad sits. The chair feels like it's sinking. Do you know who you just arrested? Brad's voice cracks. I just found out. Marcus Washington, Associate Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, the man currently writing the most important police accountability ruling in Ohio history. Hayes leans forward. Do you understand what you've done? Do you have any concept of the magnitude of this disaster? Brad can't speak, can't breathe. That ruling was going to be theoretical, Hayes continues. Statistics and case law. Now it's going to be personal. Now it's going to have the weight of lived experience behind it. Now every word is going to carry the authority of a man who was subjected to exactly what he's ruling against. Hayes stands. Badge, gun, now. Brad's fingers tremble as he reaches for his badge. 11 years, 3 Officer of Excellence awards, recruitment billboards, newspaper features. Gone. The badge leaves his chest. The weight disappears. He places it on Hayes' desk. Then the gun. Administrative leave, Hayes says. Pending investigation. Federal investigation, Brad. FBI is already involved. Don't leave town. Don't talk to anyone. Get a lawyer. Brad nods. He can't feel his legs. He walks out of the office. The hallway stretches forever. Officers step aside as he passes. They know, everyone already knows. The interview room is about to become a courtroom, and Brad Coleman is the defendant. The realization hits him all at once, and he barely makes it to the bathroom before he vomits. Chief Robert Hayes sits alone in his office. The badge and gun sit on his desk like evidence at a crime scene. 11 years of protecting Brad Coleman. 11 years of buried complaints and transferred whistleblowers and quiet settlements. All of it is about to come out. His phone rings. He knows who it is before he answers. Councilman Coleman. Robert, I just heard about my nephew. Tell me this isn't what I think it is. Hayes closes his eyes. It's worse. Worse? How can arresting some guy for a stolen car be worse? The some guy is Marcus Washington, Ohio Supreme Court Justice. Silence. Long silence. Please tell me you're joking. I wish I was. Brad arrested him in the Riverside Mall parking lot 90 minutes ago, accused him of stealing his own Mercedes, racial profiling, excessive force, deactivated body cam, the whole disaster. Jesus Christ. Councilman Coleman's voice drops. The Washington, the one writing the accountability ruling? That's the one. Robert, you need to make this disappear. Call in favors. Bury the paperwork. Pay off whoever needs paying. Hayes laughs bitterly. You're not hearing me. The FBI is involved. Angela Washington documented everything. She's a Chronicle investigative journalist. This is going to be front-page news by tomorrow morning. Then we spin it. Officer made an honest mistake, misunderstanding. We apologize. We move on. It's not going to work this time. Why not? We've done it before. Because this time the victim writes state law. This time we can't intimidate witnesses. This time the whole country is going to be watching. Hayes hears breathing on the other end. The councilman is calculating. Political survival mode. How bad is it for Brad? Federal civil rights charges. Possibly criminal. He's looking at 3 to 8 years. And how bad is it for you? There it is. The real question. I buried 9 complaints against Brad over 5 years. The FBI has been investigating for 9 months. They have 11 victims. Now they have 12. And number 12 is a Supreme Court justice. Hayes pauses. I'm done, Richard. My career is over. The only question is whether I cooperate with the feds or go down with the ship. You can't cooperate. You have too much to protect. Protect what? The department that threw me under the bus the moment this went public? The system that rewards covering up abuse until it becomes impossible to hide? Robert, listen to me. Hayes hangs up. He's done listening. Done protecting. Done sacrificing his integrity for political convenience. He opens his computer and starts typing. A resignation letter. Effective immediately. Personal reasons. He'll draft a full statement later, once his lawyer reviews it, once he figures out how much of the truth he's willing to tell. The phone rings again. He ignores it. Meanwhile, downstairs, Marcus Washington sits in the interview room. The door is unlocked now. He's technically free to leave. But he's waiting. Waiting for his attorney. Waiting for the FBI. Waiting for the machinery of justice to start moving. Sergeant Garcia appears at the door. Justice Washington, I need to apologize on behalf of the department. This should never have happened. Marcus looks at him. How many times has it happened before? Garcia hesitates. I don't understand. How many other people has Officer Coleman arrested like this? How many complaints were filed? How many were ignored? Garcia's silence is the answer. That's what I thought, Marcus says quietly. Your apology is noted, but it doesn't change what needs to happen next. What's that? Accountability. Real accountability. Not just for Coleman. For everyone who enabled him. Everyone who knew and stayed silent. Everyone who chose career security over doing what's right. Garcia nods slowly. He's been on the force 28 years. He's seen things, ignored things, stayed quiet when he should have spoken up. You're right, he says. You're absolutely right. He walks away, and for the first time in his career, Sergeant Tommy Garcia considers what it would mean to tell the truth. In the parking lot outside, Angela Washington sits in the Riverside coffee shop across the street. She's early for her meeting with Officer Jessica Turner. Her laptop is open. The article is nearly finished. 6,000 words. The most important story she's ever written. The one that's going to win awards and destroy careers and change laws. The door opens. A young woman in uniform enters, mid-20s, nervous eyes. She scans the coffee shop, spots Angela, and walks over. "Mrs. Washington, Officer Turner, thank you for reaching out." Jessica sits. Her hands are shaking. "I need to tell you what I saw, what I should have stopped." Angela pulls out her voice recorder. "I'm listening." "I was back up on your husband's arrest. I knew it was wrong the moment I arrived. The plates were clean. Your husband was compliant. There was no probable cause. Why didn't you intervene?" Jessica's eyes fill with tears. "Because Brad Coleman is Officer of Excellence. Because he has connections. Because I've been on the force for 2 years, and I've already learned that speaking up gets you transferred, demoted, or fired." "So, you stayed quiet?" "Yes, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life." Jessica wipes her eyes. "But I'm not staying quiet anymore. I'm willing to testify. Grand jury, federal court, wherever you need me. I'll tell the truth about what I saw." Angela studies her. Looking for deception, looking for angles, finding only genuine remorse and determination. "You understand what you're risking?" "I understand that I became a cop to protect people, not to stand by while they're abused." Jessica's voice strengthens. "Your husband is a Supreme Court justice. He has resources, he has protection. But the next person Brad Coleman stops might not. And I refuse to be complicit in that." Angela nods. "I'm going to put you in touch with FBI Special Agent James Harper. He's running the federal investigation. Your testimony is going to be crucial. Whatever he needs, I'm ready." They talk for another 30 minutes. Jessica provides names, dates, other incidents she witnessed. By the time they finish, Angela has enough material for a follow-up article. "One more question," Angela says. "Why reach out to me? You could have gone straight to the FBI." Jessica meets her eyes. "Because I needed you to know that not all of us are like Brad Coleman. Some of us still believe in doing the right thing, even when it's hard." Angela reaches across the table and shakes her hand. "Thank you, Officer Turner. What you're doing takes courage." Jessica leaves. Angela watches her walk back toward the station. A young officer choosing integrity over career, choosing truth over silence. It gives Angela hope. She returns to her laptop and adds a new section to her article. One officer's choice to speak up. Chief Hayes thinks he can bury this. He has no idea the DOJ is already involved. The walls are closing in. Angela Washington's phone doesn't stop buzzing. The journalist network is alive. 26 years of contacts, 26 years of favors owed and relationships built. She's calling them all in. Text from Michael Chen, her editor. Article is front page. Website goes live at 6 a.m. Print edition already being redesigned. This is Pulitzer-level work, Angela. Text from Marcus Reed, Washington Post national correspondent. I want to run a companion piece. Can you get me an interview? Text from Senator Patricia Alvarez. Just heard. I'm drafting federal legislation. Can you send me the full case details? Angela responds to each message with precision, coordinating, building momentum, turning one arrest into a national conversation. Her laptop shows the Chronicle's content management system. Her article is scheduled. The headline is locked in. Justice denied. Supreme Court judge arrested for driving while black in own vehicle. Beneath it, a subheadline. Exclusive footage reveals pattern of racial profiling in Riverside PD. FBI investigation underway. The article includes complete timeline of Marcus's arrest, transcript of Brad Coleman's statements, analysis of Richardson v. Ohio and other relevant cases Marcus has written, background on the pending accountability ruling, Officer Jessica Turner's testimony, with permission, statistical analysis of Brad Coleman's arrest patterns, documentation of 9 buried complaints, Commentary from civil rights attorneys. 6,000 words. 42 sources. 12 pieces of evidence. It's irrefutable. Angela's phone rings. A number she recognizes immediately. Professor David Chen, Columbia Law School, one of the nation's leading experts on qualified immunity. Angela, I just saw your draft on the Chronicle's internal system. This is extraordinary. David, I need legal analysis for the piece. Can you provide commentary on the implications? Absolutely. Send me the full documentation. I'll have a statement within the hour. Thank you. Angela, this case is going to change everything. Marcus's ruling was already going to be significant. But now, with him as a victim, this is going to reshape police accountability nationwide. She hangs up and immediately opens a new document, a timeline, hour by hour, minute by minute, building a narrative that's impossible to deny. 2 p.m. Marcus Washington arrives at Riverside Mall. 3:45 p.m. Brad Coleman enters parking lot. 3:47 p.m. Coleman approaches vehicle. 3:48 p.m. Coleman demands Marcus exit vehicle. 3:51 p.m. First racial statement, your type always has a story. 3:53 p.m. Marcus slammed onto hood. 3:54 p.m. Handcuffs applied excessively tight. 3:56 p.m. Coleman radios false report of stolen vehicle. 4:1 p.m. Body camera deactivated, first instance. 4:15 p.m. Arrival at police stations. 4:23 p.m. Body camera deactivated, second instance. 4:31 p.m. Interrogation without attorney present. 4:42 p.m. Marcus reveals identity. 45 p.m. Chief Hayes orders immediate release, every moment documented, every violation cataloged, every piece of evidence cross-referenced. This isn't just journalism. This is prosecution preparation. Her phone rings again. James Harper, FBI. Angela, I need everything you have. Full video files, audio recordings, witness statements, all of it. Uploading to your secure server now. Access code, Harper29847. Got it. I'm reviewing now. A pause. This is even worse than I thought. The body cam deactivations alone are federal obstruction charges. How many charges total? For Coleman, minimum 8 federal counts, civil rights violations, false arrest, evidence tampering, filing false reports. Could be more depending on what else we find. And Chief Hayes, conspiracy to violate civil rights, obstruction of justice, potentially RICO if we can prove the pattern of covering up complaints constitutes organized criminal activity. Angela writes quickly. Can I quote you on that? Not yet. Give me 48 hours. Once formal charges are filed, you can run with it. Understood. Harper pauses. Angela, off the record, how's Marcus doing? He's Marcus, calm, focused, already planning how to use this experience in his ruling. He's a remarkable man. He is, and he's about to make sure this never happens to anyone else. She hangs up and returns to her article. The final section needs work. The conclusion, the call to action, the moment where readers understand why this matters beyond one man's arrest. She types, Marcus Washington is fortunate. He has resources, connections, legal expertise. He survived this encounter and will see justice served. But countless others don't have those advantages. They don't have a wife who's an investigative journalist. They don't have FBI agents who can launch federal investigations. They don't have national platforms to tell their stories. They have only the hope that someone, somewhere is watching, that someone will speak up, that someone will demand accountability. Today, we're all watching, and we're all responsible for what happens next. Perfect. She saves the document. The article is complete. Front page, 6 a.m. publication. 26 years of journalism leading to this moment. Her phone buzzes again. This time it's Marcus. I'm being released. Rebecca is here. No charges filed. They're claiming it was all a misunderstanding. Angela's jaw tightens. A misunderstanding. That's the official statement. Chief Hayes personally apologized. Did you accept? I thanked him for his apology. I didn't say I accepted it. Angela smiles. That's her husband. Precise, deliberate, strategic. The article publishes in the morning. National coverage by afternoon. By Monday, this will be the biggest story in the country. Good, because in 72 hours, my ruling publishes, and it's going to reference this incident in detail. Marcus, are you sure? Using your own case in a ruling? The law allows judges to consider all relevant information, including personal experience, as long as it's disclosed. I'll disclose it. Prominently. Let them challenge it. Let them argue that lived experience of injustice somehow disqualifies me from ruling on injustice. Angela knows that tone. That's the tone of a man who's made up his mind, a man who's seen the system fail and decided to fix it himself. When are you coming home? Rebecca is driving me now, 30 minutes. I'll have dinner waiting. Angela. Yes? Thank you. For everything you did today. You don't need to thank me. This is what I do. This is who we are. She hangs up and stares at her laptop. The article glows on the screen. 6,000 words that will change everything. Tomorrow morning, the Chronicle website will crash from traffic. By noon, every major news network will be running the story. By evening, protests will form outside Riverside Police Headquarters. And in 72 hours, Marcus Washington will publish a ruling that reshapes police accountability across Ohio. Angela Washington's phone call is about to make this the front page of every newspaper in America. The countdown continues. FBI Special Agent James Harper sits in a conference room at the Cincinnati field office. The walls are covered in documents, photographs, timeline charts, 11 victims, 11 cases, 9 months of investigation, and now, victim number 12. His team sits around the table, 6 agents, 2 federal prosecutors, 1 Department of Justice civil rights attorney. Harper stands at the head of the table. We've been building this case for 9 months. 11 documented incidents of civil rights violations by the Riverside Police Department, specifically Officer Brad Coleman and the supervisors who protected him. He clicks a remote. The screen behind him lights up. Victim 1, Darius Miller, age 23, arrested for suspicious behavior while jogging in his own neighborhood. Coleman claimed Miller matched the description of a robbery suspect. The robbery had occurred 3 weeks earlier, in a different city. The suspect had been apprehended 2 weeks before Coleman stopped Miller. A photograph appears. Darius Miller, young black man, college student, no criminal record. Victim 2, Shanice Thompson, age 31, attorney, pulled over for erratic driving while going exactly 45 in a 45 zone. Coleman searched her vehicle without consent, found nothing, charged her with failure to signal a lane change. Dashcam footage showed she did signal. Case dismissed, complaint buried. Another photograph, Shanice Thompson, professional woman, law degree, violated anyway. Victim 3, Andre Williams, age 47, college professor, detained for trespassing while entering his own office building. Building security confirmed he worked there. Coleman refused to verify, held Williams for 2 hours before releasing without charges. Williams filed a complaint. It disappeared. The list continues. Victim 4, Marcus Reed, detained at a traffic stop for 30 minutes while Coleman searched for drugs that didn't exist. Victim 5, Patricia Lee, arrested for disorderly conduct after questioning why Coleman was following her. Victim 6, Jerome Washington, tackled and handcuffed while picking up his daughter from school because Coleman thought he looked threatening. 11 faces, 11 stories, 11 violations of civil rights. Every single one of these victims is black, Harper says. Every single incident involved pretextual stops. Every single complaint was buried by Chief Hayes and the department brass. He clicks to the next slide, a chart showing Coleman's arrest statistics compared to other officers in his precinct. Coleman makes 3 times as many stops in predominantly black neighborhoods. His use of force rate is 400% higher than department average. His complaint rate is 500% higher. And yet, he's been named Officer of Excellence 3 times. One of the prosecutors leans forward. What was blocking you from bringing charges? Documentation, Harper says. The department destroyed evidence. Body camera footage mysteriously corrupted. Dash cam files disappeared. Witnesses recanted after being visited by supervisors. We could prove a pattern, but we couldn't prove intent. Until now. He clicks to a new slide. Marcus Washington's photograph. Victim 12, Marcus Washington. Age 54, Associate Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. Arrested for stealing his own Mercedes. Complete documentation. Video from multiple sources. Audio recordings. Witness testimony from Officer Jessica Turner. And Coleman made a critical mistake. What mistake? The DOJ attorney asks. He deactivated his body camera. Twice. That's federal obstruction. That's consciousness of guilt. That's the intent we've been looking for. Harper pulls up Angela Washington's video. The team watches in silence. Brad Coleman's voice. Your type always has a story. The sound of Marcus being slammed onto the hood. Brad Coleman. A neighborhood like this. Someone like you. When the video ends, the room is silent. This, Harper says quietly, is what we've been fighting for 9 months. This is what 11 other victims experienced. The only difference is that Victim 12 has a platform. Victim 12 writes state law. Victim 12 married an investigative journalist who documented everything. He turns to the prosecutors. I want federal civil rights charges against Coleman. I want conspiracy charges against Chief Hayes. I want obstruction charges for every supervisor who buried complaints. And I want this case to send a message that the DOJ will no longer tolerate systemic civil rights violations. The lead prosecutor nods. You'll have it. We'll draft the indictment tonight. Grand jury convenes Monday. By Tuesday, charges will be filed. How solid is the case? With this documentation, ironclad. Coleman will plead out or go to trial and lose. Either way, he's done. Harper feels something he hasn't felt in 9 months. Relief. Not satisfaction. Not joy. Just relief that finally, the system is going to work the way it's supposed to. What about the other 11 victims? One of the agents asks. Can we reopen their cases? We can try, the DOJ attorney says. With Coleman's credibility destroyed, we might get some of those convictions overturned. We might get settlements. But most importantly, we send the message that this behavior has consequences. Harper thinks about Darius Miller, about Shanice Thompson, about Andre Williams, about 8 other people who filed complaints that disappeared into bureaucratic darkness. They deserve justice too. I want to contact all 11 victims, Harper says. Tell them what's happening. Give them the option to join a civil rights lawsuit. They deserve to know that someone finally believed them. The team agrees. Plans are made. Assignments distributed. The machinery of federal justice begins to move. Harper returns to his office and pulls up the files. 11 victims. 11 stories. He starts making calls. The first number belongs to Darius Miller. Mr. Miller, this is FBI Special Agent James Harper. I'm calling about your complaint against Officer Brad Coleman from 14 months ago. Silence on the line. Then, I was told that complaint was closed, that there wasn't enough evidence. It was closed, improperly. I'm calling to tell you that we're reopening it. Coleman has been arrested, federal civil rights charges. And your case is part of the evidence. Harper hears something that sounds like a sob. Someone actually believed me? Yes, sir. Someone believed you. And we're going to make sure this never happens to anyone else. The call lasts 20 minutes. By the end, Darius Miller agrees to testify, agrees to join the civil lawsuit, agrees to tell his story publicly. Harper makes 10 more calls, 10 more victims, 10 more stories of being dismissed, ignored, told their experiences didn't matter. Every single one agrees to come forward. By the time Harper finishes, it's nearly midnight. His office is dark except for the desk lamp. The case files are stacked neatly. 11 victims who finally get justice. 1 victim who had the platform to force accountability. His phone rings. Angela Washington. Agent Harper, I'm updating my article with information about the federal investigation. Can you confirm charges are being filed? Charges will be filed Monday. Grand jury indictment. I can't give specifics yet. But you can report that a federal investigation has been ongoing for 9 months, and this incident accelerated the timeline. Thank you. One more question, off the record. Go ahead. How many other Brad Colemans are out there? How many other departments are covering up the exact same pattern? Harper is quiet for a long moment. Too many, he finally says. Way too many. But maybe, if this case gets enough attention, if the consequences are severe enough, departments will think twice before protecting officers like Coleman. That's what Marcus's ruling is designed to do. I know, and I hope it works, because the federal government can only investigate so many departments. We need state-level accountability. We need citizens who refuse to accept this behavior. We need officers like Jessica Turner who choose integrity over career security. Angela thanks him and hangs up. Harper sits alone in his office. The photographs of 11 victims stare at him from the wall. 11 people who deserved justice and were denied, until now. Harper's federal case has 11 victims. Marcus just became the one they can't ignore. Monday morning is coming, and with it, accountability. Sunday morning. The Riverside Police Department parking lot transforms into a media circus. News vans, satellite dishes, reporters with microphones, camera crews positioning equipment. Angela Washington's article published at 6 a.m. By 7, it had been shared 40,000 times. By 8, every major news network was covering the story. By 9, the Chronicle's website crashed from traffic. Now, at 10 a.m., Marcus Washington stands in front of the station. Angela is beside him. Their attorney, Rebecca Lawson, stands one step behind. FBI agent James Harper watches from the side. The crowd quiets. Marcus raises his hand. My name is Marcus Washington. His voice carries across the lot. Steady, clear, unwavering. I am an Associate Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. Yesterday afternoon, I was arrested in the Riverside Mall parking lot for stealing my own car. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Cameras zoom closer. Reporters lean in. I was waiting for my wife. She was inside the grocery store. I was sitting in my vehicle, reviewing a legal document. I was doing nothing wrong. He pauses. Lets the words settle. Officer Brad Coleman approached my car. He did not ask for identification. He did not explain the reason for the stop. He stated, and I quote, "A black man in an $85,000 car. Your type always has a story." Murmurs from the crowd. Some reporters exchange glances. He pulled me from my vehicle. He slammed me onto the hood. He handcuffed me without probable cause. He called me your kind. He said I couldn't possibly afford to live in my own neighborhood. He deactivated his body camera twice during the detention. Marcus holds up his wrists. Red marks are still visible, bruises forming. Officer Coleman did all of this while a crowd watched, while teenagers filmed and laughed, while adults nodded their approval. Not one person questioned the officer. Not one person asked if I was okay. He lowers his arms. I don't share this story for sympathy. I share it because I am fortunate. I am a Supreme Court justice. I have resources. I have connections. I have a wife who is an investigative journalist. He gestures to Angela. I have people who will believe me. But what about the person stopped tomorrow who isn't a judge? What about the victim who doesn't have cameras recording? What about the complainant whose case gets buried? Angela steps forward. Her phone is mounted on a tripod. The live stream is active. The viewer count climbs. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. My name is Angela Washington. I'm an investigative journalist with the Washington Chronicle. When I exited that grocery store yesterday and saw my husband in handcuffs, I did what I was trained to do. I documented. She holds up her phone. This live stream has been running for 12 minutes. 380,000 people are watching right now. The number keeps climbing. 400,000, 500,000. But I have more than just footage from yesterday. I have 9 months of investigation. I have interviews with 11 other victims of Officer Brad Coleman. I have documentation of complaints that were buried by Chief Robert Hayes. I have testimony from Officer Jessica Turner, who witnessed yesterday's arrest, and is prepared to testify that it was unlawful. A reporter shouts, "Mrs. Washington, are you saying there's been a cover-up?" "I'm saying there's been a pattern of civil rights violations, a pattern of racial profiling, a pattern of complaints being ignored, a pattern that continued because no one with power was paying attention." She pauses. "Until yesterday. Until they arrested someone who writes the laws they're supposed to follow." Another reporter, "Justice Washington, isn't it true you're currently writing an opinion on police accountability?" Marcus nods. "Yes. I am writing a ruling that will reshape police accountability in Ohio. It's due in 48 hours. "What does the ruling address?" "I cannot discuss pending decisions in detail, but I can tell you this. Qualified immunity cannot shield willful misconduct. When officers weaponize authority against citizens, the law must respond with consequences." He looks directly at the cameras. "I was treated this way because I'm black, because I drove a nice car, because I was in a neighborhood where someone decided I didn't belong. That's not law enforcement, that's profiling, that's prejudice, that's injustice." Marcus pulls out his wallet, opens it, holds up his identification. "I'm not just a black man in a Mercedes. I'm an associate justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. I've sat on the bench for 15 years. I've written over 400 opinions. I've dedicated my career to the law." He puts the wallet away. "But it shouldn't matter who I am. It shouldn't matter what I do. The law should protect everyone equally. If it only protects judges and senators and people with platforms, it protects no one." Angela steps beside him. Their hands find each other. "My husband could have told Officer Coleman who he was," Angela says. "He could have ended this in 30 seconds. She looks at Marcus. "Why didn't you?" Marcus is quiet for a moment. "Because the man behind me in traffic might not be a judge. The woman Coleman stops next week might not have connections. The teenager he profiles next month might not have an attorney." He shakes his head. "I stayed silent because my silence reveals the truth. The truth about how black people are treated in this country. The truth about what happens when no one important is watching." He looks at the cameras again, at the hundreds of thousands watching online. "Well, now you're watching, 2.8 million of you. And what you do with this information matters more than what happened in that parking lot." A reporter pushes forward. "Justice Washington, what do you want people to do?" "I want them to demand accountability. I want them to support officers like Jessica Turner who choose integrity over career security. I want them to question why complaints disappear. I want them to refuse to accept that this is normal." Marcus pauses. "And I want them to understand that change doesn't happen because one judge writes one ruling. Change happens because citizens demand it, because voters hold officials accountable, because communities refuse to accept injustice as inevitable." The live stream counter crosses 3 million. Inside the police station, what's left of the leadership watches through the windows. Acting Chief Martin Foster, promoted this morning after Hayes' resignation, sees his department's reputation crumbling in real time. He makes a decision. He walks outside. The crowd parts. He approaches Marcus. "Justice Washington, I'm Acting Chief Martin Foster. On behalf of the Riverside Police Department, I want to formally apologize for what happened to you yesterday. It was unacceptable. It violated policy. It violated your rights. And it violated everything this department is supposed to stand for." Marcus studies him. "Apology noted. What actions will you take to ensure it doesn't happen again?" Foster doesn't hesitate. "Immediate review of all complaints against Officer Coleman. Independent investigation of Chief Hayes' handling of those complaints. Mandatory retraining on civil rights and de-escalation for all officers. Body camera deactivation will result in automatic suspension, and Officer Coleman will never wear a badge in this city again." "What about the other victims, the 11 people who filed complaints that disappeared?" "We're contacting each of them, offering to reopen their cases, offering settlements where appropriate, and offering a formal apology from this department." Marcus nods slowly. "That's a start, but understand this. I will be watching. The FBI will be watching, and 3 million citizens are watching right now." If this becomes empty promises and business as usual, you will face consequences. I understand, Justice Washington. You have my word. Foster extends his hand. Marcus considers for a long moment, then shakes it. Not forgiveness, just acknowledgement of a first step. The press conference continues for another 30 minutes. Questions, answers, clarifications. By the time it ends, the live stream has been viewed by 8 million people are watching live, and Brad Coleman's career is ending in real time. But the story isn't over. It's just beginning. Monday morning. Federal Courthouse, downtown Cincinnati. Brad Coleman sits in a holding cell. His attorney, Dennis Morrison, sits across from him. Morrison is expensive, the kind of lawyer you hire when you're guilty and need someone who can work miracles. The grand jury convened at 9 a.m., Morrison says. They returned indictments at 11, 8 federal counts. Brad's face is pale. 8. Deprivation of rights under color of law, false arrest, filing false reports, evidence tampering for the body camera deactivations, civil rights conspiracy, and 3 counts of obstruction of justice. How much time? Morrison doesn't sugarcoat it. If convicted on all counts, 20 to 30 years. With your priors, the complaints, the pattern of behavior, the judge won't be lenient. Brad's hands shake. Can we fight it? Fight what? They have video from 6 different angles. They have audio recordings. They have your own words on camera. They have a Supreme Court justice as the victim. They have 11 other victims ready to testify about your pattern of behavior. Morrison leans forward. Brad, I'm going to be honest with you. This case is unwinnable at trial. Your only option is to plead guilty and hope for a reduced sentence in exchange for testimony against Chief Hayes and the others who covered for you. Testify against Hayes. He protected me. He protected himself. You were useful until you weren't. Now you're a liability. And trust me, he's already negotiating his own deal. If you don't flip first, you'll take the full sentence while he walks. Brad closes his eyes. 11 years on the force, 3 Officer of Excellence awards, recruitment posters, community events. He was supposed to be the future of the department. Now he's inmate number pending. What kind of deal can you get? If you cooperate fully, testify against Hayes and the supervisors, maybe 8 to 12 years, possibly less with good behavior. And if I don't, 20 to 30, in a federal prison where half the inmates are people you arrested. The math is brutal but simple. Cooperation means survival. Loyalty means destruction. Talk to the prosecutors, Brad says quietly. See what they're offering. Meanwhile, 3 floors up, former Chief Robert Hayes sits in an interrogation room. His attorney is present. 2 FBI agents and a federal prosecutor sit across the table. Chief Hayes, the prosecutor begins. You're here because we've identified a pattern of civil rights violations under your supervision. Specifically, your role in burying complaints against Officer Brad Coleman. Hayes says nothing. His attorney has told him to stay quiet. We have documentation of 9 complaints that were filed and closed without investigation. We have testimony from officers who were pressured to stay silent. We have emails showing you ordered evidence to be destroyed. The prosecutor slides a folder across the table. We're prepared to charge you with conspiracy to violate civil rights, obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, and filing false reports. Combined, you're looking at 15 to 20 years. Hayes' attorney leans forward. What are you offering? Full cooperation, complete testimony about everyone involved in the cover-up, names, dates, specific incidents. In exchange, we reduce to obstruction and filing false reports. 4 to 6 years. Hayes looks at the folder. Inside are copies of emails he thought were deleted, testimony from officers he thought were loyal, evidence he thought was destroyed. I need time to consider. You have 24 hours. After that, the offer expires and we proceed with full charges. The agents stand and leave. Hayes sits alone with his attorney. What do you think? Hayes asks. I think you don't have a choice. They have you cold. The only question is how many years you spend in prison. Hayes spent 32 years in law enforcement, rose through the ranks, made chief at 47, Built a reputation as a strong leader who backed his officers. Now he's facing prison because he backed the wrong officer too many times. Set up the meeting. I'll cooperate. By Tuesday afternoon, both deals are done. Brad Coleman agrees to testify. Robert Hayes agrees to testify. The dominoes start falling. Sergeant Michael Torres, who destroyed dashboard camera footage, charged with obstruction. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, who pressured witnesses to recant, charged with witness tampering. Captain John Martinez, who falsified investigation reports, charged with filing false documents. 6 supervisors, 6 sets of charges. 6 careers ended. The FBI press conference happens Wednesday morning. Special Agent Harper stands at a podium. Today, the United States Department of Justice is announcing federal civil rights charges against former Riverside Police Chief Robert Hayes, former Officer Brad Coleman, and 6 department supervisors. He reads the charges, the counts, the potential sentences. These charges send a clear message. Civil rights violations will not be tolerated. Officers who abuse their authority will face consequences. Supervisors who enable abuse will be held accountable, and departments that foster cultures of discrimination will be investigated and reformed. Harper pauses. I also want to acknowledge the courage of the victims in this case. 12 individuals came forward. 12 people refused to accept injustice. And one of those victims, Justice Marcus Washington, used his experience to strengthen protections for everyone. The press conference ends. The charges are public. The investigation continues. Inside Riverside PD, the remaining officers are shell-shocked. The leadership is gone. The culture is exposed. The department is under federal monitoring. Acting Chief Foster calls a mandatory meeting. Every officer attends. What happened here was wrong, Foster says. Not just wrong, criminal. And it happened because good people stayed silent, because complaints were ignored, because we chose loyalty over integrity. He looks around the room. That ends today. New policies, new training, new accountability, and anyone who doesn't like it can turn in their badge now. No one moves. Good. Because we have work to do. We have a community to rebuild trust with. We have victims to make amends to. And we have a standard to meet that says every person, regardless of race, regardless of status, deserves to be treated with dignity. The charges keep coming. And they're not just departmental, they're federal. Justice is no longer theoretical. It's arriving in indictments and arraignments and courtrooms. The system is finally working. 6 weeks later, federal courthouse, grand jury room. Officer Jessica Turner sits in the witness chair. She's in civilian clothes. Her badge and gun are locked in her car. She made a choice to be here. And that choice might end her career. But it's the right choice. The prosecutor stands. Officer Turner, please state your name and position for the record. Jessica Marie Turner, Patrol Officer, Riverside Police Department, 2 years of service. Thank you. Can you describe what you witnessed on the afternoon of October 14th? Jessica takes a breath. This is it. The moment where she either protects the system or breaks it. I was called as backup to a vehicle stop at Riverside Mall. When I arrived, Officer Brad Coleman had a black male in handcuffs. The individual was compliant, calm, not resisting. What did Officer Coleman tell you? He said it was a stolen vehicle, that the suspect had fake papers. I ran the plates myself. They were clean. Registered to Marcus Washington. Address in Laurel Heights. No flags. What did you do with that information? Jessica's voice is steady. I told Coleman the plates were clean. He said systems could be wrong. He said we should book him and let detectives sort it out. What did you think of that assessment? I thought it was wrong. The vehicle was registered to the same man Coleman had in custody. There was no evidence of theft, no probable cause for arrest. Did you voice that opinion to Officer Coleman? Here it is. The moment of truth. No, I didn't. Why not? Jessica looks at the grand jurors. 12 citizens. 12 regular people who need to understand why a police officer stayed silent while witnessing injustice. Because Brad Coleman was Officer of Excellence. Because he had connections. Because I'd been on the force for 2 years, and I'd already learned that questioning senior officers gets you transferred, demoted, or fired. Silence in the room. So I stayed quiet. I watched him violate that man's rights. I did nothing, and I will regret that decision for the rest of my life. The prosecutor nods. What changed? Why are you here now? Because after the arrest, I learned who the victim was. Marcus Washington, Supreme Court Justice. And I realized that if he had been anyone else, anyone without power, anyone without connections, no one would have believed him. No one would have investigated. And Brad Coleman would still be making stops, still violating rights, still destroying lives. Jessica's voice strengthens. I became a police officer to protect people, not to stand by while they're abused. I failed in that duty once. I won't fail again. The testimony continues for 2 hours. Jessica provides details, names, dates, other incidents she witnessed. Other times supervisors pressured officers to stay silent. When she's finished, the prosecutor thanks her. The grand jury foreman nods respectfully. Jessica walks out of the courthouse. The afternoon sun is bright. She feels lighter than she has in 6 weeks. Her phone rings. It's Acting Chief Foster. Turner, I just got word you testified. Yes, sir. Without department approval, without clearing it through legal. The subpoena was federal, sir. I didn't have a choice. Silence on the line. Jessica prepares for termination, prepares for the consequences of choosing integrity. Good, Foster says. That took courage. I'm reassigning you to the Community Outreach Division. You'll be working with Officer Marcus Reed, one of Coleman's victims, to develop new training on civil rights and de-escalation. Jessica is speechless. Sir, we need more officers like you, Turner. Officers who choose what's right over what's easy. Don't prove me wrong. He hangs up. Jessica stands on the courthouse steps. For the first time since that day in the parking lot, she feels like a real police officer. Meanwhile, across town, the 11 other victims are gathering at a community center. FBI agent Harper invited them. A chance to meet each other. A chance to understand they're not alone. Darius Miller, Shanice Thompson, Andre Williams, 8 others. All black. All victims of Brad Coleman. All told their complaints didn't matter. Marcus Washington enters the room. Applause breaks out. Not because he's a Supreme Court justice, but because his platform gave them all a voice. I'm not here as a justice, Marcus says. I'm here as victim number 12. I'm here because what happened to me happened to all of you first. And you deserve justice then just as much as I deserve it now. Darius Miller stands. Justice Washington, can I ask you something? Please. Why didn't you tell Coleman who you were? You could have ended it immediately. Marcus looks at him, really looks at him, sees the pain of being stopped while jogging, sees the humiliation of being accused, sees the rage of filing a complaint that disappeared. Because if I had to announce my title to be treated with dignity, then the system is already broken. The law should protect everyone equally, not just judges, not just people with power. He pauses. I stayed silent so my silence could be evidence. Evidence that this happens. Evidence that crowds watch and laugh. Evidence that complaints get buried. Evidence that the system fails unless someone forces it to work. Shanice Thompson speaks next. Your ruling, the one being published tomorrow, will it help? It's designed to. It eliminates qualified immunity for willful civil rights violations. It creates independent oversight. It mandates consequences for supervisors who bury complaints. Marcus looks around the room. But laws only work if people demand enforcement, if communities hold departments accountable, if officers like Jessica Turner choose integrity over career security. He holds up his phone. My ruling publishes tomorrow at 9 a.m. By noon it will be state law. By next week departments across Ohio will have to comply. Andre Williams asks, and if they don't? Then people like Agent Harper investigate. People like Angela expose them. And people like all of you refuse to accept injustice. The meeting continues for 3 hours. Stories are shared. Pain is acknowledged. Hope is kindled. By the end, all 11 victims have agreed to join a class-action civil rights lawsuit. Their attorney, Rebecca Lawson, is confident they'll win, confident the city will settle, confident their voices will finally be heard. Jessica Turner has a choice: protect the system or become the whistleblower who breaks it. She chose truth. She chose courage. She chose the badge over the brotherhood. And because of that choice, the system is starting to change. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., the Ohio Supreme Court website updates. Case number 2024 SC0847, Martinez v. Cleveland Police Department opinion, by Associate Justice Marcus Washington. The ruling is 374 pages, 15 years of case law, 9 months of drafting. And now, one personal footnote that changes everything. Page 47, footnote 12. Recent events have underscored the urgency of this ruling. On October 14, 2024, this justice was personally subjected to the conduct this opinion addresses: arrest without probable cause, excessive force, racial profiling, and deactivation of body cameras to conceal misconduct. This lived experience confirms what case law and statistics have long demonstrated: qualified immunity enables abuse when applied without meaningful oversight. The ruling continues. Therefore, this court holds that qualified immunity does not shield officers who willfully violate clearly established constitutional rights. When officers engage in racial profiling, use excessive force without justification, or deactivate recording equipment to conceal misconduct, they may be held personally liable. Furthermore, supervisors who enable such conduct through systematic burial of complaints, destruction of evidence, or retaliation against whistleblowers may be held liable for conspiracy to violate civil rights. This opinion establishes 3 requirements for all Ohio law enforcement agencies. First, independent civilian oversight boards with subpoena power. Second, mandatory reporting of all use of force incidents and civilian complaints to a state database. Third, automatic termination for officers who deactivate body cameras during enforcement actions. The ruling concludes, justice delayed is justice denied. For too long, victims of police misconduct have been told their complaints don't matter, their evidence isn't sufficient, their voices aren't credible. This court declares, they matter, their evidence counts, their voices will be heard. The law exists to protect citizens from those who would abuse power. When it fails that fundamental purpose, the law itself must change. It changes today. By 10 a.m., the ruling is national news. By 11, legal scholars are calling it the most significant police accountability decision in 50 years. By noon, protests-turned-celebrations gather outside the Supreme Court building. Marcus Washington doesn't attend the celebrations. He sits in his chambers, alone, reading through the opinion one more time. A knock at the door. Angela enters. "How does it feel?" she asks. Heavy. Every word carries the weight of 12 victims, 11 who were ignored, and 1 who had the platform to force change. Angela sits beside him. "You didn't just force change, you created it. This ruling will reshape law enforcement across the state. Only if it's enforced. Only if communities demand accountability. Only if officers like Jessica choose integrity." His phone buzzes. A text from James Harper. "The ruling is exactly what we needed. Federal charges proceed with state law backing. Thank you." Another text, this one from Darius Miller. "I read the ruling. Thank you for including us. Thank you for making our pain matter." Marcus shows Angela. She takes his hand. "You did the right thing. Using your experience, including their stories, making the law personal. The law should always be personal. It affects real people, real lives, real families." He pauses. "I just wish it hadn't taken my arrest to prove it. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the system only changes when people with power experience what powerless people live with every day." Marcus nods slowly. She's right. The law he wrote was good. But the law he wrote after being arrested? That law has teeth. That law has urgency. That law comes from understanding what it feels like to be violated by the system you trusted to protect you. 3 months later. Epilogue. Brad Coleman stands in federal court for sentencing. He pled guilty to 6 counts. His cooperation against Chief Hayes and the supervisors earned him a reduced sentence. The judge looks down at him. Mr. Coleman, you were given a badge and a gun. You were given authority to protect citizens. You used that authority to violate their rights, target them based on race, and destroy evidence of your misconduct. You have shown remorse. You have cooperated with federal investigators. You have helped expose systemic corruption. But you also destroyed lives. You traumatized families. You betrayed the community you swore to serve. The judge pauses. I sentence you to 8 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release. You will never serve in law enforcement again. Brad is led away in handcuffs, the same handcuffs he put on Marcus Washington. The irony is not lost on anyone. Chief Hayes receives 10 years. The 6 supervisors receive between 3 and 7 years each. Officer Jessica Turner is promoted to sergeant. She leads the new Community Outreach Division. Her team includes 3 of Coleman's victims, now working to rebuild trust between police and the communities they serve. The 11 victims receive a settlement. $7 million total. Not justice, but acknowledgement. Recognition that their pain mattered. Angela Washington wins the Pulitzer Prize for investigative journalism. Her article is taught in journalism schools across the country as an example of documentation defeating denial. And Marcus Washington? He sits on his porch on a quiet evening. The sun sets orange and gold. Angela sits beside him with a glass of wine. Their daughter calls to check in. Life continues. A car passes on the street. A young black man behind the wheel. Nice car. Mercedes. He sees Marcus and waves. Marcus waves back. The young man doesn't know that Marcus is the reason his traffic stop last week ended with a warning instead of handcuffs. Doesn't know that the new training the officer received came from the ruling Marcus wrote. Doesn't know that the civilian oversight board that reviewed his complaint actually investigated instead of burying it. He just knows the system worked. This time, do you think it's enough? Angela asks. The ruling, the convictions, the reforms. Marcus considers. It's a start. Real change takes generations, but every journey begins with a single step. And if someone tries to roll it back, then we fight again, we document again, we refuse to accept injustice again. He takes her hand. The law only protects people if people demand protection, if they speak up, if they record, if they refuse to stay silent when they witness abuse. A police cruiser drives past. The officer inside nods respectfully at Marcus. New training, new standards, new accountability, progress. Marcus looks at Angela. I was arrested for sitting in my own car, for being black in a neighborhood where someone decided I didn't belong. And now that experience is cited in legal briefs. Now it's taught in police academies. Now it's used to protect people who don't have the platform I have. He pauses. I couldn't change what happened to me, but I could change what it means. I could turn injustice into law, pain into protection, silence into change. Angela leans her head on his shoulder. That's what you've always done. Turn bad facts into good law. They sit in comfortable silence as the sun disappears. The street is quiet. The neighborhood is peaceful. For now. Because the work is never finished. The fight is never over. The demand for justice is constant. But tonight, Marcus Washington, victim, judge, reformer, allows himself a moment of satisfaction. The system didn't protect him when Brad Coleman violated his rights. But the law he wrote will protect others when their Brad Colemans come. And that has to be enough. Thank you to everyone who followed this story and shared your support from around the world. Seeing this global community stand together for justice and equality proves that human dignity is a universal value. If this story moved you, please subscribe for more stories of courage triumphing over systemic injustice. Until next time, remember that silence in the face of injustice makes you complicit. But speaking up, documenting truth, and demanding accountability can change everything. The next time you witness injustice, you have a choice. Choose courage. Choose truth. Choose to be the person who refuses to look away.